We don't go the same places that we used to go. We don't ride the same, no, we don't ride the same. We don't know the same people that we used to know. We don't vibe the same, no, we don't vibe the same. We don't show the same feelings that we used to show. You don't smile the same, I don't smile the same. We don't do the same things that we used to do. We don't vibe the same, we don't vibe the same. No, I ain't never, ever hung my head low.
Hi, hello, welcome to the new vlog. It's Monday, same day I finished my last vlog on, and I'm just going to sit down. What's the time? It's 8:30 just now, so I'm going to sit down and continue with The Wicker King. I am on page 205 and I'd like to get some progress in with this. I'm just getting to the darker parts as the page goes darker as well. And all I've heard about this book is that the ending really ruined a lot of people, so I'm intrigued to see how I feel about that. Thursday and it is a little bit after 6 o'clock, so me and Cody actually decided that we really desperately need to get out of the house. So we're gonna go and chill a little bit in the park nearby just to see the sky, because the only thing I see through my window is this. Weird whenever I leave the flat now, because I get almost like a vertigo, because all I ever can see is like 3 meters away. And I need to see the distance, so we're gonna go just sit a little bit in the park. The situation in Scotland is basically like everyone's pretty much like somewhat back to the new normal. But I'm just not of the opinion that everything's back to normal. I think that things needed to be opened, and they opened, but a lot of people are acting as if nothing happened and just, you know, doing stuff, and I just don't think that's right. I saw this thing on Twitter actually. Someone with chronic illness was speaking to their therapist because they said they don't understand why is everyone acting like this is not a big deal. And the therapist suggested that it's because the people who don't seem to be taking this very seriously are who does not have a lot of health issues or never had serious health issues, or whenever they did get ill, they usually get back to normal, just get better very quickly. And then there's obviously people who spend time in the hospital, or people like me who have years of experience of doctors failing to find what's up with them, and the system failing, and knowing that, oh, you know, these doctors are not like all-knowing massive god creatures that can just like give you an answer and an antidote to whatever comes up. The frustration of like that image has shattered long ago for me, and ever since I was, I think, 19, I have started developing various illnesses that were prolonged, and some last up until now, and some have appeared fairly recently. So I think it's just a little bit of a different perspective of, you know, knowing your body's limits and knowing that you sometimes just wishing to get better does not do the trick, you know. Not that you asked for this rant, so sorry, but I have a little bit of a reading update since the last time I saw you, and I have finished The Wicker King. Hooray! I have a bone to pick with you, and not you specifically, but just a general you. Because I always get people saying that the ending destroyed them and that they're still crying about the ending. build this ending up in my head. I'm not gonna say what happens here, but I think I was just also thinking something like insane's gonna happen and it's gonna be like, ooh, the ending. I personally didn't get that, but then I am made of stone, so there's that. Maybe it's me and not you. That being said though, I did enjoy it. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would love it. What I will say is that this, have I already said that? I might have said it, but to me this has very massive Raven Cycle vibes, especially like Caves Water stuff, and a little bit of Starless Sea, just because the continuity wasn't like particularly clear, and I think that jumpiness kind of reminded me of that. This book to me is mostly about neglect. It's about young people who feel neglected by the world. They are neglected by the adults in their life. They feel like nobody can be reliable, and thus they have to be the ones to be relied on. The relationship between the two characters is very problematic. It is kind of acknowledged and at points, so I wouldn't say that it's glorifying it, but there's definitely a tiny bit, I think, romanticization going on around that. But you can also just look at it as it's not being neat, you know? Life isn't always neat. It's not by the book, or it's not like, you know, best case scenario. However, I don't think that any young person would read this book and be like, this is the type of relationship I want, so I'm not taking any issues with them. And it also, like, is very clearly uncomfortable to read, at least to me. There are scenes where one of them, like, demands the other one kneels in front of them, which I really don't like it. There's definitely a little bit of a physical pushback as well. There are a couple of places where one of them was acting pretty rough towards the other, which is also super uncomfortable. And the other character has intense codependency and addiction to this person. So there's definitely a lot to ponder, like, and that's the character relationship from that aspect was very interesting, disturbing, but interesting. And it was definitely my favorite part. I'm not a big fan of nonsensical writing. There is this quest that they follow, which deals with they follow the hallucinations of one of the characters. And they kind of follow this quest. It's all in the synopsis, so this is not a spoiler, but they follow the quest. So the quest part was my least favorite thing. I think my favorite parts were definitely when the actual black pages started. I don't want to say why, actually, because maybe spoilers. This did suffer a little bit from one of my most hated, I don't know if it's called a trope really, but one of the most hated things for me in books is when a whole book is going one way and everything could be solved by them seeking adult help. When I'm sitting there just seeing everyone suffer, and I'm just saying in my head, go to the adults, go to the adults, go ask for help. But I will say, because of the neglect in this book and the specific lack of adult supervision and adult care from both of their lives, I can justify it, and it was less frustrating. But because for me personally it's a very, very hated trope, I still felt that. Run it through Cobalt, and I think I'm gonna do it just now. Okay. So I just did the numbers, and it went smack at 4 stars, so the whole score was 7, literally 7.0. And that is the very, very lowest point of 4 star, which actually I agree with. I don't want to like bait someone thinking that they're going to get a schizophrenia story. They won't. I'm not gonna say if the hallucinations were schizophrenia or not, but it doesn't focus on that, and I will just leave it at the fact that there are hallucinations. Okay, and the next read that I'm reading currently is The City We Became, which I touched upon a little bit in the previous vlog. But the story is about New York, and we have a couple of entities kind of take over a couple of bodies, and the bodies represent the areas of New York. I'm very much not knowledgeable about New York or the areas, but the first character that I met was Manhattan, Manny, and the second one that I've met was Brooklyn. I've just met them. I'm 3 hours into the audiobook, however I might continue a little bit physically when I'm in the park, or I'll I will, oh my god, I will bring this along just in case we do get to reading. We always have the intention, but we rarely succeed. Page 87, and I think we're gonna have a chapter from another perspective. So I'm gonna continue with that. I really need to finish this before Saturday, because this is July's pick for my Patreons, but also I've recently joined the Busy Bee book club by the lovely Erin, and they have a live stream, and the live stream is in America, but it's actually at the time that I can join for once. It's at 9 p.m. I will link their channel down below if you also want to check it out, because you should. I'd recommend it. And I'm really excited to see their thoughts about it and just have the discussion. I have 6 minutes to get my ass out the door, so I'm gonna go and do that, I think, and I will speak to you in a little bit. Hi! So it's Friday, and actually I'm on like 2 out of 10 pain scale today, which is a massive improvement on the whole week. I'm just really going with it with the migraines recently. 4 o'clock now. I've spent the whole of my lunch break filming a video. It's a tier ranking video. It's way longer than I anticipated. To update you on my reading, I think I am on page 150. I keep swapping between the audiobook and the physical read. I think I read a tiny bit faster physically. However, I get distracted easier physically, so I think overall I am better off listening to the audiobook, especially because the audiobook is impeccably done. Not many thoughts, so I don't know what to update you on, to be honest. I don't have many thoughts on it just yet. I am interested in finding out more about the characters. It's fairly okay to follow even if you're not from New York. However, I think you would enjoy this way more if you are, because I think things just make a bit more sense. Actually, also Zeus, Logan took Zeus to the vet for the checkup regarding the puking, because he's been throwing up for, well, years. We tried a couple of things, but we were meaning to take him back before the quarantine happened, and then the quarantine happened. So they're gonna check him, so I'm a little bit, like, I know it's nothing, you know, bad, hopefully, but I'm still a bit nervous. I don't like it when he's not here, and obviously because it's still Corona time, they're not gonna even let Logan be there. They're just gonna have to take the cat, and Zeus is gonna be there alone. I'm sure they're lovely. Our usual vet is still closed, so that's a bit sucky, but hopefully it's a nice vet as well. Hi, well, I had a live stream of tier ranking some stuff with my Moonies on my Patreon, and now it was really fun. So instead of 1 hour, I stayed for 2. But that means that I'm so behind on my schedule for reading The City We Became. I'm gonna take my face off. I'm gonna put maybe a face mask on or something and continue reading. But this is not good. This is not good. Damn it. Okay. Morning. It is Sunday. My teeth. And it's actually 11:30, and I have 7 hours 45 minutes left in the audiobook. However, I listen at 1.5 speed, so that's more like 5 hours, and I have to read this by 5 in the evening. So we're very crunchy here, because obviously I'm not going to be listening all the time, but I might swap to read physically at some points. I'm currently at around like 5 out of 10 on pain scale. Sorry to like, I've been having the migraines that go into the nerve where the teeth are, so they're really frustrating. But I want to, you know, kind of take it easy but also do something, especially because I cannot listen to the audiobook when I don't do anything, and I also don't want to spend my whole day like looking at a book because eyes. So I thought, well, first of all, this is gonna be very, like, I'm almost tempted to make a countdown because this is gonna be very on the edge. I want to tidy up a tiny bit and also quickly hover the floor, because the floor is a bit nasty, especially like around there, because there's a lot of grass on the floor currently. And then I thought I'm gonna have the audiobook on while I paint some book edges, because I haven't done that in a while, and I haven't painted in general because I've skipped the last 2 bullet journals and I kind of miss it. And I know this is not gonna be the same, but I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna pick a couple of books. I might try and do the one that I'm reading, and try and see if I can maybe do like a cityscape. I've never done anything but like just paint the edges. So I've only done one before, but because it was like a tester and it was for the previous owls. By the way, happy news if you're doing them. Today's the 1st of August. Might pop into the Discord and see happy news to those who are continuing because they want to finish this round. I still haven't decided. I think I'm gonna do it maybe loosely and maybe just extend it up through a couple of months just to finish the career, just for the completionist sake. But where is it? Oh, there. So this was my last one that I made, and they were like yellow pages, like mustard yellow pages. I might do Circe because I have the metallic paint as well.
Oh yeah.
What? And the city we became, with the gray background and maybe white landscape. I'm not sure. Let's see. But I want to like clean up, and I have to hurry, so I can't chit chat.
Look, he says, I'm just the messenger.
When the silver of these winter nights is shining in drops of ice, and I crawl into my bed, and the clouds won't help me, but at least we'll keep the voice down. Those voices inside my head. What's in the sky? Oh, the stars will never see, and I will carry with me. Oh, those kisses will never bring. When the nights will be haunted by the clanging of the ghost of us, and our worlds are sad and down, and the miles will taunt us with our dreams just turned to dust. But you can't tell where it began. No one's in the sky. Oh, the stars will never see, and I will give with me. Oh, those kisses will never breathe.
So it's, I think, 20 to 9, which is fine. The paint has crept up a bit more, so I just kept painting books because you know, I need a distraction. But I listened to the book and then I read the last couple of chapters of the book, and I made it to our desired time, and we spoke with the Moonies about the book, which was a very good chat. I think we all really liked it. There's so much to unpack with this book. I absolutely love the characters. It was so packed with insight. Oh my god, there's so much insight. The only thing that I didn't love was that sometimes it would get quite wordy and it would be kind of hard to follow, and it would get a bit like abstract, and I'm just not a big fan of that as I keep learning. So it's just the writing style sometimes that would like jump. It's a very interesting concept with the city being attacked, and it's a very interesting, everything happens over a couple of days, so it's quite fast as well, although I wouldn't say it's a fast read though. That's the update. That finished the book. I did it. Woo! It was definitely a crunch though. I don't like usually doing that because I don't like putting deadlines, but obviously this is a thing that by default has a deadline, so I needed to crunch. Hello, welcome to Sunday. I'll show you what I did. So the first one I did was the one that I was listening to, and then I read it physically, which is The City We Became, which, by the way, I also need to sit and rank. I read it and I was like, ooh, interesting. 4 stars, because there's so many things to unpack. And then as I sat down a little bit with it, and then I also listened to all the critiques the ladies on Busy Bee Book Club had, very valid, all I agree with. So I'm thinking now, I still think it's gonna be 4 star, but I think it's gonna be close to 3 instead of a very strong 4, like I said. So my main thing was that the end was very, very unsatisfying to me, or like anticlimactic. I just felt like I just didn't like it. I don't want to say specifically why, because obviously a bit of a spoiler. So I painted this one, and at first I thought I'm gonna go, you know, so I deliberately did a gray color, but it kind of looks like it's black and faded. Maybe I needed to do a bit lighter, but I didn't want to do too light because I knew I'm gonna go over with the white pen, which I did not know if when I separate the pages, if the white pen would stick or if it would flake off, but thankfully it did. And I'm using the Sakura ones, the jelly rolls. Is it Sakura? Yeah, the Sakura jelly rolls, and I use them in my bullet journal, and I use them here, and I continue doing that. But be warned, it's very hard to draw in these, because obviously there's like a natural curve, but also when you draw, the cover gets in the way, so the hand angle is really weird. Maybe I should have peeled the covers off and then just draw on that. I don't know if that would have made it easier, but boy was it hard, and you'll see at the very last book that I did, it's just so wonky, so bad. This one's not too bad though, because, you know, it's wiggly things. So I was thinking of doing the landscape in white, but decided to go for the octopus. What are words? Thingy. Arm? Can you call it an octopus arm? On the back as well as on the cover. Next one that I did was The Rise of Kyoshi, because mixed in too much gray color, and I was like, oh, I need a book. I need a book that I want a gray edge to. So I did this one, but then I also went over with a golden marker. What's that one called? It's actually, I think it's like a big pack from Amazon. I don't know if they even have a brand. But it's just like your normal golden pen, like a marker pen. It's one of those that's not really golden, it's more like, you know, it's not super shimmery. It has a tiny glint of shimmer, but otherwise it's kind of like earthy tone, which is why I picked it. Normally I hate that those goldens don't have the shimmer that I want. I'm very picky with my golden markers. This is not something you asked. And I actually quite like it. It's super messy. There's no particular order to the pattern even. But I liked it, and you know, I was thinking of doing the earth bending sign, but again, it's very hard to draw on this, so I didn't. Good shout, because again, the last book that I did. Then I think the next one I did was Circe, which I did with a metallic paint. And I'm so happy with it. I don't know if you can see, but it's like properly shiny. It's not quite gilded edges, but you know, if you look from a right angle, you could be confused that it might be a gilded edge. Because it obviously really matches this normally, but also I think a black edge would fit as well if you don't want to buy metallic paint. So then I really wanted to do something with a Curso Dark and Lonely, but because they're like gonna be primary colors and stuff, I did not want that because I just don't like it. But because they have a hollow kind of spine, or at least the Fairy Loot editions do, and hollow writing here, so you could do like green or blue or like light blue here, but I didn't want to. I wanted it to be silver, but I wasn't sure how silver would look because it's a light color, and sometimes light colors look a bit weird when you paint them on already light pages. Because the pages also, like the fluff of the pages, once you separate the pages, kind of comes through a little bit. I think that's kind of, it depends on the paper as well, because this had a very minimal amount of that. The most is probably here, but like all over, it's pretty minimal. But for example, the N.K. Jemisin book had a lot of that. So you see that fluff? It kind of comes off. So, and if it would just look like a gray color, which I didn't want a gray color, but these are maybe my favorite now, all of the ones that I've done, because I've done this one and then I did the second one. But look, oh, again, you have to get the light to hit it properly again, but it's like, look, there's some like reflection of the light from there. It's like, it does look gray, but it looks like light gray, and I like that. But it's again not quite a gilded edge, but it's not bad. With the metallic paints, however, they can flake. There's a bit of flaking here and also here, and when they flake, they flake off the couple of the pages. So I really like how those turned out. And then I decided to do this beast, which is the Priory of the Orange Tree. I'm actually very happy with my color matching because I sat there and like I tried to color match it, and I did this like a two-tone thing. I tried to like blend it a little bit, but because when you're painting this, you're really trying to keep it as thin as possible for the pages not to stick permanently and not to flake later. It wasn't that easy, but I think this is probably the best edge ombre-wise, because it's not really ombre, it's more like just kind of blending it together. But I still like it, you know? It's interesting. I wish it was a bit more blended, but it's still kind of fun. So that's that one. And then the last one is the one that I kind of fucked up, but it's okay. I mean, I didn't fuck up the color. I really like the color. I was thinking about going gold, and I have a lighter gold than the copper one that I used for Circe, but it's Sarah J. Maas's Crescent City. So I painted the edges really beautiful red that I got through mixing 2 types of red and some black. Love it. I really love this color. However, then I decided that it's a good idea to do moon faces on the front, and mind you, this front also like dips a little bit, so, and even on a normal piece of paper, I cannot do like a proper circle without using some help and aid. So what came over my mind, I don't know, but I know that it was around midnight, so what an idiot. But if you show it from like this far, it's fine. But I did it in the same kind of like golden pen. And it's not great. It's wobbly as fuck. It is, yeah. It's mine. At least now I know nobody will steal it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. This one definitely had a lot of fluff coming out of it, because another thing I didn't check before I made this was that it has Bible pages. So I still am yet to separate these pages, because you separate them quite well, but then there are still some that need help like this. But I can put like an audiobook, well, I need to pick an audiobook and then just sit and do that. I quite like it, like it's quite calming. So I'm just happy that it actually separated, because if I knew that they had like Bible pages, I don't know if I would have been brave enough to actually go ahead and paint it, because Bible pages, yeah. So I'm very excited, and I have decided to maybe do that for all of the books that I have, because it makes it truly my own, and I love that. I love it when people make notes inside the books. I love it when they personalize it. Did you guys enjoy this? Do you guys want to see the ones that I do in the future, even if it's like one color? I don't know, but like I seem to not want to just do one color unless it's almost as spicy. Why is it spicy? I'm thinking of either coloring in all the books that I have already read and then continue doing that for every month. Whenever I read the books, I color their pages, because that could be quite cool, and also motivation for me to keep reading, although obviously not everything that I read I physically own. But I already kind of broke it a little bit though, because I have not read Circe and I have not read Priory or Crescent City. I have read the rest, so these could be exceptions. And some of the books already obviously have sprayed edges, so, but this could be fun. I could include this in the vlogs if you guys wanna see what I do with them. But yeah, let me know if that would be fun, and I might do that, and I might go through all of the books that I have already read and they don't have any edges or anything. Oh yeah, it's after 12. Wow, okay. Hello, I'm back. So I'm just actually popping in to say goodbye for now, because I've sat and read another 70 pages but of a book that's continuing that project that I keep talking about, and I haven't released yet because I started it in like March. We're not gonna think about it, but I'm finally continuing with it. So I sat and read a bit of that. I'm happy with my progress, but I ran The City We Became through Copile, and it came back same as The Wicker King at evenly 7, which is just the very start of 4-star, which is funny because obviously it's so subjective. Like The Wicker King and The City We Became could not be more different. And 4 stars for very different reasons. So I think The City We Became, the strengths were the very tense dynamic between the characters, the very intriguing idea of the whole book, extremely well done social commentary through the story. I think those are the strengths, and also the fact that there is multiverses mentioned, because I'm a hoe for that. So those are the strengths. I don't know if that was even correct number count, I didn't really count. But however, I do really want to pick up the 5th season. I've only heard the best of things about that series, so I really want to read that probably before I pick up the second of this. But the audiobook again was so good, so it's probably more like a really strong 3 stars. Same with The Wicker King, but they came out as just 4, like the first point of 4, and I am okay with that, to be honest. Yeah, I love the concept. Sometimes the execution of it wasn't the way that I like to read about it. But let me know if you have read this and if you enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I don't know how long this is gonna be. I always think that it's not, and then I edit and I never shut up. So there's that. Hope you guys are well. Thank you so much for watching. Stay awesome, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!